we had the pleasure of interviewing Nathalie Fontanet. She is a state councillor in charge of gender equality in the State of Geneva. She was participating at the Building Bridges event with the Gender Lens Focus Talks. Thank you for watching the UN Brief, and don't forget to subscribe.
Sorry. As you said, gender inequality does persist in the labor market, and in particular in the private sector in Switzerland. We see a gap of 20% regarding the salary of the woman compared to the men. And what is even more worrying is the fact that in this gap, you have 44%, which is not explainable by objective factors. And we can therefore see that we do have a real pay discrimination based on gender in Switzerland. However, in the Canton of Geneva, the median salary for women is only 5.3% lower than for men. I say only, but the only is to be compared with the 20% of the whole Switzerland, because of course 5.3% is already too much. And we have had a study that was made in the state to know if we were correct regarding the salary of women and men, and the result was very good. There is no discrimination for all the state employees between men and women, so that is very important. Moreover, there is not only this problem of salary, there's also the problem that in Switzerland, women are still the minority in senior management position and in our country's governing bodies. And that we can see that we have only 17% of women in a board and 9% of senior managers that are women in Switzerland. So this is the proof that we really have some work to do to make sure that a woman can access to a very important company's board and also to senior management.
As a state councillor in charge of the promotion of gender equality in the State of Geneva, how do you contribute to bridge this gap?
So firstly, I really believe that the state has to be an example. We have to be a model in this domain, and we must create, of course, the conditions that support the introduction of measures and that encourage women working and in a fair climate. So these measures, they're aimed at promoting women to decision-making position in areas where they are underrepresented, of course, and especially in official committee, public sector boards. And how did we do that? And how are we trying to do it? Well, of course, by making changes to law and regulations. And that will allow us to achieve gender equality, which means that we must have a minimum of 40% of the underrepresented gender. It's also encouraging the authority responsible to be proactive in seeking applications from the underrepresented gender and refusing, when it's possible, to appoint people that are not in the underrepresented gender, and that the appointment would finally result in it would affect the other gender. It's also applying for full transparency in the pay, because that is something which is very important. And also be sure that we implement in some companies, they do not have the financial situation to implement themselves these principles. And the state there has to be a help to allow the companies that do, maybe they are too small and that do not have the finances to do so, well, to help them to make sure that they do have these principles and that they can apply them.
Indeed, and you have introduced some bills also regarding violence against women, but maybe we can talk about this a bit later. But in your opinion, what are the main barriers to achieving gender equality in the workplace?
I think that the main barriers are our model of society, because finally, if we think about it, well, women are viewed as having, and it is the truth, the primary responsibility for care, for education, and for domestic tasks. And therefore, they are not viewed as having a total disponibility, a total availability, which is now something that is really required in very important jobs, and especially in senior management jobs. So that is, for me, one of the first points. The second point is that we really have a lack of a female role model. And it's important for young women, and even for not as young, to be able to identify to a woman. And that in any kind of job, and also scientific jobs. And this is something on which the canton is also very active, to be sure that we do encourage girls to take such career, and that we do have enough role models. When a woman gets offered a position, well, she in more than 90% doesn't discuss the salary.
Right, doesn't ask for a raise. Yes.
Yeah. And a man will discuss it in more than 80%. So it's totally the opposite. The woman is often so glad that she gets a job in a senior management position that she doesn't dare to say, well, maybe I should get a higher salary. And
not negotiate, right? That's it. Several studies have shown this in the US as well,
exactly,
right? It's interesting that in Switzerland too, there is this culture that women shouldn't be talking about money, right? That's not very ladylike. So
and I don't know if it's that, or if it's the fact that maybe if she starts negotiating, they'll say that she's painful. Yeah,
she's a pain in the neck.
Maybe it's better to try and hire a man with whom it will be
right.
easier.
Yeah. Women are judged more harshly in our societies, in Western societies, in terms of if they ask for something, they're immediately framed as difficult or
exactly.
It is terrible, but it is a reality. You know, these are the challenges too that we have to overcome in terms of education, right? Young ladies, young girls can start to see these things more clearly, and young men. I think it's very important to bring men in this training and education of, what equality really means in the workplace, right?
Because you're completely right.
We cannot just talk to the women only, we cannot just make a club of women, because we are like preaching to the converted, as they say. We need to bring the men on board to understand
we cannot do it without the men, because they are the half of the world. So we need them to be convinced, but we also need to find this solidarity between women to help other women. And often when you get to a certain position, well, you forget how hard it was, and you often do not think about all the other women that would need your help. And I think this solidarity, men have that since a very, very, very long time. They have these clubs where they see each other and where they can help themselves. And women have started that very lately to start and support other women. And I think that this is also a point.
Right, this is also very important. I'm glad you brought it up because that's something that's not discussed very often, that women don't help other women sometimes, right? But to wrap it up, in terms of prevention of violence and supporting women who are victims of violence, what measures does the State of Geneva takes to comply with the international human rights protection treaties that Switzerland is a signatory of, such as the International Covenant on Political and Civil Rights and the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination against Women?
We are, of course, the bastion of the human rights also. So it's something that we have taken seriously since many years already. And I am in charge in my department of the BPEV, which is the Office for Equality and Violence Prevention. And its mission is to strengthen the efforts to combat, of course, domestic violence. And this office supports different associations, of course, helping them financially to make sure that they provide answers to a difficult situation for women.
And what else is there in terms of training the police officers and the judiciary system, you know, making sure that they are also understanding the dynamics of sexual and other forms of violence against women, because that seems to be the challenge in many countries, that the police does not realize, they don't believe the women, or they minimize what she's been through, you know, and even other actors within the ecosystem that's supposed to help this woman do not understand what they have to do and what trauma does to someone. So are there training programs geared towards police and the judiciary and other government institutions that could be helping women so they recover quickly from the situation and can become fully fledged citizens contributing to the economy?
So we are lucky. We are quite a small country, and Geneva is a big canton, but in a small country, and we are very aware of these situations. And of course, yes, there are some formations that are organized to make sure that the way the police receives a victim. Firstly, we make sure that when it's possible, it's from someone of the same sex, in order for the victim to feel comfortable. And also it's very important to listen and not to judge. And we have seen recently, and I believe you're referring to maybe to this article in different countries, the fact that the police was not taking into consideration certain victims and saying just sending them back at home. And this is, of course, not acceptable. We have to listen. We have to be to care and not to judge. A victim, a person who is a victim of a rape, it can never be her fault. Even if she was wearing a skirt, even if she was drunk, it was not her fault. And maybe one interesting point we have now at the Swiss level, at the Confederation level, we have a very big discussion regarding a modification of regulation in order to change the things and to make sure that when there is a sexual relation, well, the consent is given before.
And to be in compliance with the Istanbul Convention.
Exactly.
Right? In order to make sure that the question of consent is also criminalized, because unfortunately, unless there is this sort of deterrent in place enshrined in the law, there is no way we are going to change behavior, unfortunately.
Exactly.
Right?
And it is not because a woman does not fight back, does not hit, does not scream, that she is consenting to the act. It can be because she is so afraid that she is just acting to stay in life. And that is some very important and positive evolution to make sure that we can act against violence made to women.
Indeed, indeed. There's so much progress happening. So I'm really glad we got a chance to speak. And thank you so much, Nathalie Fontanet. It's a pleasure speaking with you, State Counsellor in charge of the promotion of gender equality in the State of Geneva. Thank you for watching or listening to the UN Brief. And don't forget to subscribe,